Hmm. Hi, good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? Um,
Great, thank you. How are you?
good. What's everyone got going on this weekend? Personal, business? Put it in the chat. What's everyone got going on this weekend? Why everyone so quiet? Why so serious? Put in the chat what you're doing this weekend. Open houses, showings, family time, whatever. Okie dokie. Can somebody just verify that you can see my screen? Should be a listing presentation. Door knocking. Nice, Lisette. Linda says, my birthday dinner. Happy birthday, Linda. That's exciting. Hope you enjoy your birthday dinner. Caitlin said, gym and Mother's Day. Nice. Sounds like my weekend. I might be doing an open house this weekend, actually. Another agent asked me to do one with her because she's newer and she doesn't really know what she's doing. So don't be afraid to partner up, guys. You know, there's always opportunity out there. Then you guys can just split the leads. Juno. So happy early Mother's Day to all the great moms out there. We are the superheroes of real life. Much love to every single mom. All right, guys, so I'm gonna give like 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. Just waiting on some latecomers. We always have those. Anybody else got something going on this weekend? For Mother's Day, for work, personal, whatever it is. Very nice. All right, guys. So I'm not great at waiting, so I'm just going to get started. Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Jennifer. I'm one of the managers in the downtown Orlando office. You know, we do a monthly training. I like to do mine through Zoom. So today we are going to be going through a listing presentation. So basically, you know, just going to talk to everybody like you all are beginners here. So a listing presentation basically is going to be, you know, your way of marketing yourself and your real estate services to a potential seller. So basically, this is going to be the best way to get listings and get business from homeowners. All right. As some of you may know who have been in the industry a bit, representing a buyer, representing a seller, 2 different ends of the spectrum there, right? You have to put your buyer's agent hat some days, and then you got to put on your, you know, your listing agent hat on other days. So, you know, it is very different on both sides, you know, when you're representing either buyer or seller. So it is a good idea if you've never listed a property before or represented a homeowner to partner up with somebody who does have the experience, because there is a lot more involved than just taking pictures and posting it online. You have to have a marketing strategy. You have to have, you know, the right connections. You have to have, you know, a good game plan on what you're going to do, how you're going to execute, and you have to be able to confidently tell these things to your clients as well, so that they can feel confident in listing with you. because, you know, on the selling side, it's a bit easier to get buyers than it is sellers. You know, for the most part, you know, that's not a, you know, a definite, but it typically is harder to get sellers just because, you know, they already bought, you know what I mean? They know what it takes to buy. They know the process. Some of them have even sold before as well. So they're a little bit more savvy when it comes to who they want to work with, right? They want somebody who's going to, you know, put their needs first, number one. Nobody wants to work with an agent who only is me, right? They want to know that they're going to be working with somebody who has their best interests at heart. So, of course, that's always going to be number one. I mean, if I'm choosing a professional to work with, I want to make sure they have my best interests at heart too. I mean, that's pretty much common sense in business. So, you know, always make sure you let them know that right off the bat in some way, that you are going to be putting their needs first, you know. Also, they're looking for experience. They want to know what type of experience you have and how you're going to help them, essentially. So you have to know how to answer those questions when you go into a listing presentation. You know, how are you going to sell yourself? How are you going to market your services? How are you going to close on that listing and get the contract signed, right? Because that's essentially should be the main goal before you walk into that property. When you get the appointment is, you know, you want to get that listing agreement executed, whether it be electronic signing, whether you just bring the contract with you, right? The goal here is to get them to sign that contract. Because once you do, that's it. They're your clients. You got the listing. Now you can start working on, you know, marketing, you know, entering in MLS, sending it to people, whatever you do to market, right? So essentially, you know, those are the three main things. Sellers want to know your experience. They want to know you're going to be having their best interests at heart, you know, and how you're going to help them. You know, you don't just want to go in there and say, hey, I'm going to put it on MLS and then I'm going to sell it. Like, yeah, okay, they know that, right? That's pretty much Captain Obvious moment there, right? So basically, we're going to get into a little bit more details on how you can essentially present yourself in a more professional and organized manner. So basically, you know, this is a listing presentation. You know, it's not rocket science, guys. I didn't sit here for days trying to create this. This is a presentation that I bought from Etsy. If you guys are familiar with Etsy, it's an amazing site with a lot of creatives, and they charge for whatever they make and you buy it off of them and that's it. You can use it. So basically this here is a presentation that I bought off of Etsy, you know, very simple. I liked the aesthetic. The information was good, and it wasn't that expensive. So, I mean, right there, those were all valid reasons for me to purchase this presentation and use it for my business. You know, some agents will say, no, it's all about what you say when you go in there. You don't need anything, blah, blah, blah. You know, to each their own. We're all self-employed, okay? Like none of us have a manager, a boss here. We're all in charge of our own time and our own business, right? So if that's what you prefer, that's fine. But me personally, I like to go in prepared, and I like to have the right tools and the right, you know, media in order to present myself in the most professional way. So for me to spend a few dollars on a listing presentation, to me, was worth it, you know? So you can create your own, or you can buy one. There's Fiverr. I know Fiverr does a lot of stuff for entrepreneurs. There's Etsy. Etsy is great. So, or if you're pretty creative, you can get on Canva and do it yourself. I created my own home buyer presentation. The listing though, I just bought it, you know? So it just depends if you have the time and the creative aspect, of course, right? So this is my listing presentation, okay? I like to do a hard copy. I print out on cardstock a presentation, and I put that in the folder. Okay, so that's how I like to present it. Sometimes I will just bring the computer and do it with the computer, but I typically don't like to bring my computer with me if I don't have to. So I'll just typically print this out. Like I said, on cardstock paper, I have my own supply of cardstock paper for this. So basically, I just print this out on cardstock, I put it in the folder, and that's how I present it. But we're gonna go through it here as I share my screen with you guys, okay? So how many people here, put in the chat, have a listing presentation? Love Etsy, yes, Lisette, Etsy is the best. So does anyone here have a listing presentation already? Nice, good job, Lisette. Lisette has one. So yeah, not many people then. All right. Well, that's good. You're in the right spot then, right? So this is the one I got on Etsy, listing your home, strategies for a top dollar sale. This is just the main first page here with my name and my contact information and the main website for lifestyle. The reason I put the main website here is just so, you know, I'm using the reputation of the company as credential, right? So basically, when people go to this website, lifestyleir.com, or they decide they want to Google Lifestyle International Realty, right? The typical stuff that people do, which most people do this, guys, so be aware, you know, they're going to see that Lifestyle has a good reputation. They've been in business, what, almost 12 years. They have tons of sales in South Florida, offices between Florida and Jersey, right? So that's good. That makes you look good, especially if you're a brand new agent. You want that solid reputation behind you, right? So don't be afraid to use that, you know, consumer website on your marketing stuff. You know, it'll make you look good. It also has the IDX on there, so they can type in and do a quick search for a house if they want to. So that's why I like to include the main consumer site on mine. So if people want to go on the main site, they can look me up, they can look up stuff about the company, they can do a quick home search all through that website. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Okay, so that's page 1. Page 2 is a welcome page. This is a picture I took at some new construction a while back, just to make it a little bit more personable to me. I like to put a bio. Okay, obviously I probably have more experience than a lot of you here. I've been doing this since 2016. Okay, so I like to use the fact that I'm a local and that I've been doing it for a while, and that I'm all about communication and relationships and stuff like that. So I just like to put a short bio. So I suggest if you don't have a bio, to just sit down and write one real quick. It doesn't have to be 2-3 pages long. I suggest to keep it short because people get very bored or distracted easily, especially in this day and time. Nobody has focus. So just make it short and sweet. All right. I'll just read you mine real quick. Jennifer is a full-time agent in the greater Orlando area. She was born and raised in Central Florida. Active since 2016 in real estate, helping to guide people to achieve their goals is a passion that Jennifer has and enjoys. With her experience over the years, she has accumulated knowledge and experience listing homes for sale, advising clients, facilitating transactions, formulating real estate contracts, competing in multiple offer situations, digital marketing, yada, 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 et cetera, right? You get it. So basically, I'm just kind of pinpointing some of the experience that I have and that I'm a local, and that I can help them achieve their goals. So basically, I'm trying to provide as much value as I can to my clients, right? So I put at the end, Jennifer is confident she can help you to accomplish buying or selling property in the current market and can provide valuable knowledge and contacts that will help to pilot the sale to closing. Because that's really what most sellers are concerned about, you know, is closing and getting their payout, right? You can look forward to a trustworthy partner in your next sale. Contact her to make a move. Okay. So that is just a short bio that I include at the very beginning. And then of course, contact information. So I have my phone number, my email, the website, the office address, and then my social media down here. Okay. So that is the second page of my listing presentation, just kind of breaking down my experience and who I am. You always want to get a little bit personal just so they can understand who they're going to be working with for the next few months. Okay. So roadmap to sold. This is basically just breaking down the sales process from the listing side. All right. Obviously, it's very different on the listing side. So, and a lot of people don't really understand how much it really takes to list and sell a home. Right. So you have to break that down for people as well, especially if they've never sold a house before. They're not going to have any idea where to even start, what the process is, and all that stuff. So it's going to be on us to kind of explain that process to them on, you know, what it's going to take to get the house ready, get it on the market, do showings, get a contract, get to closing, and close the deal, right? So this is basically just a quick breakdown of the sales process. So it's a roadmap to sold. All right. As your real estate agent, I will be working on your behalf by guiding you through the process. Complete a thorough assessment of your home. That's going to be the original listing appointment. So as well as providing this beautiful listing presentation, I'm also going to be doing an assessment of their home. I'm going to be looking at the major systems. I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to ask them questions, ask them if they've done renovations, ask them what kind of services they've done to the main systems, if they've had any issues with the main systems in the past, any termites, pest, mold, leaks. All of this stuff is very, very, very important to find out from the sellers about the property, because you want to know as much information as possible. Okay. So you're going to do an assessment of the home. Then you are going to do recommendations on home repairs or staging. Not every seller is going to be open to wanting to repair stuff, fix stuff before the sale, right? So it's going to be what their capabilities are, and if they are willing to do any of that in order to sell the house a lot faster. The great thing about Florida and our market here is that it's not really too hard to sell a listing here. If it's move-in ready, typically it's off the market in less than 30 days, because our market is so fast-paced, and there's such a high demand for housing here that really it's not too hard, right? But you still have to do, your job as a professional listing agent, of course. So you can make the recommendations, but there is no guarantee that they're going to do it. Some of the things I like to bring up, obviously is like curb appeal. If the landscaping is looking kind of janky, you know what I mean? And then like if the paint is all chipping, or, if there's like, what do you call that? Like mold starting to grow on the walls, or you know what I mean? Like just little things like that, they might be open to it. So you could always suggest those things as well. You never want to go in there insulting the property and saying, it looks terrible. It looks like this. Nobody's going to buy this. You don't want to say those things. But, just kind of applying, in a suggestive way. Hey, maybe the front could look a lot nicer if da-da-da. Maybe this room could be more presentable if da-da-da. You want to say it as a suggestion and not be like, well, you need to do this, and this house looks gross and nobody's going to want this, or how can I list it like this, or I don't want to take a photo like that. You don't want to disrespect anyone's house. The main thing here is to be professional about it, but make the suggestions as needed, but it doesn't guarantee they're going to do it. Just remember that. Okay. Set a listing price. That's probably the most important when it comes to, listing a home, is going to be doing the homework to discover what the price range is going to be as a good list price. Okay, so basically I like to do all of my CMAs through RPR. If you guys are familiar, this is included with our MLS here in Central Florida. This is going to be a program that most of us use, okay, to evaluate the properties of the homes. You enter the address in the top, you can adjust the comps after you choose them, and then you give them a range. So I like to do that report as long as I have the property address, and then I will go ahead and print out that report, and I will put it in a nice branded folder like this, okay? So these should be available in every office. I believe they are. We have a bunch here in downtown Orlando if you guys need them, if you're here in this area. If not, just ask your branch manager for these folders. Okay. Everybody should have access to these. Sorry. Everybody should have access to these folders. I always like to do the branded folder. It just looks more professional, and I like to go in looking as professional as possible. And I also like to put a business card here. I'm still waiting for my new cards to come in, so I don't have any, but I always like to put a card here inside of the flap, just so it looks professional. So when they open it up, they're going to see my business card. They're going to see the CMA report. I print out a copy of the listing agreement contract, and I also print out a seller's disclosure as well to include. So because that's going to be the main paperwork I need filled out to list their home. They have to fill out a seller's disclosure. Because by law, if they lived in the property, they have to disclose the material facts that they know of the home. So that's going to be through the seller's disclosure, which is why I print one out. And then the listing agreement, of course, I'm also going to print out as well so that they can review it and feel more comfortable with signing it. Even if they don't sign it right there and then, at least they have a hard copy so they can review it. And if they have any questions, they can, contact me and say, hey, what is this in the contract or whatever? Because a lot of the times people have questions about the contracts. So this is why I like to print it out and just put it in the folder so that they can see it right there. And if they have any questions about it, we can go over it. Okay, so I'll do the seller's disclosure, the listing agreement, a business card, and the CMA report. Those are going to be the main things that I include in this nice, cool looking branded folder. And then I'm going to bring that folder with me to the listing appointment. I have my own professional camera. So I do also like to bring my camera because I will take pre-listing pictures. So I can kind of see if I can sell it off market on my own, which is a strategy me personally I like to do, which has worked out for me a couple times and I got double commission. Yeah, but I mean, that's rare, guys. That's not going to happen all the time, but that's kind of a strategy that I like to do, is try to sell it before I actually list it to see if I can get both sides of that commission, basically. Give me a second, guys. There's someone at the door. 1 second. I'm so sorry. I'm in a Zoom training, guys. You guys can come in, okay? Didn't know you guys were coming in today. No, we were on that. Oh, okay. Well, I gotta finish my training, so you guys can hang out, do whatever. Hey guys, sorry, had an unexpected visitors today. Okay, so anyways, what was I saying? Forgot where I was at. Okay, so yeah, so you bring the folder with the contracts, the CMA, your business card in the nice lifestyle folder, and then you're going to make the appointment at their property because you want to do a walkthrough. So if they get weird about you getting the address to come and see the house, all that stuff, you got to tell them, well, hey, I need to do a walkthrough before we list the property. And I also want to give you some information that I was able to find out about the home. So, before showing up to that appointment, I would say to definitely know the facts about the area, about the comps, and about whatever is pending and active already in the area on the market. So when I do my CMA reports, I like to also include what's active and what's pending, not for me, but for them to see the activity of what's going on at that specific time when they want to list their house. So not only am I giving them the comps, I'm also giving them a list of what's pending and what's active in their direct area. So when I go in there, I already know all of this in my head, and I make sure that I remember all of the details so that when I go in there, I already know how to answer their questions and I already know how to impress them. Before I go in, I'm going in with the mindset like I'm going to impress these people with my knowledge. And that's the type of mentality I always walk into these presentations with, because it's like, how can I impress these people? It's going to be my knowledge of the comps in the area, the value of their home, my strategies to sell it and market it. You know what I mean? All those things are going to put me above the competition, because most of the time, most sellers are going to be interviewing more than one agent. Let's just be honest, right? There's a million real estate agents. Everyone's hungry for business. It's a very competitive industry, right? So a lot of the times you're not the only realtor they're interviewing. So you have to make sure that you're going in there the most confident and like you have the knowledge. Okay, so you know what has sold in the last 3 to 6 months in their neighborhood. You know what's active right now in their neighborhood and for how much and for how many days it's been on the market. Okay, and you know what's pending and what the list price was and when it's supposed to close. All that information can be looked up very easily on RPR. When you type in the property address, it'll give you all the results for what is closed, for what's active and what's pending. So always include a few active and always include a few active and pendings on that CMA report, just so they can see the activity of the market in the area. So, not only will I have that in the report, but I will also make sure I remember all of the details of that, and I'll go over it a couple hours before I go to my presentation, just to make sure it's burnt into my brain. That way, when I see them in person, I'm already giving them the tea, the real estate tea. Everybody likes to call it the tea. What's the tea? What's the tea? What's the tea, right? Well, you got to be the source of the real estate tea. That's how you got to go in there, right? Because then they're gonna be like, wow, this person knows what they're doing. They know the area, they know the sales, they know everything. Like, why wouldn't we go with them? And if you can find out stuff about the area too, if there's new commercial businesses going up, right? If there's a listing that's coming up in the area, if something has just sold in the area, if there's some new construction in the area, if there's new roads being built in the area, whatever it is that's going to add value to their property, you want to mention that as well. And be like, oh yeah, the property values are just going to go up. They're doing this school over here, or they're building this commercial shopping plaza over here, which is going to have this business and this business, or there's a new neighborhood going up the road over here, da da da. And they're going to be like, whoa, you know everything about the area. You'll be the perfect listing agent, right? Because that's going to be your job when you have the house on the market, is to tell people the info of the home, the area. So if you're already going in there with all of that info, they're going to be impressed, and they're like, yeah, this is the right person. They know everything about the area. They brought all the right information, and they're professional, and they have the experience. So they're going to go with you, So try to find out that information. And if you don't know anything about the area, go to the comps, find the one that sold the most recently, and call that realtor and say, hey, I have a listing coming up in the same area. I see that you sold da 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 da. What can you tell me about the area? How did the sale go? And just pick their brain a little bit if you want. That's the beauty that we have, to have access to other agents, so we can get that information. You guys are leaving already?
Yeah, we thought Jasmine was here, so that's why.
Oh, you're looking for Jasmine?
Yeah, she was supposed to be here, but unfortunately she's doing something.
She's doing it.
Oh, okay.
Alright.
All right. Well, have a good day, guys. No problem. Hey, sorry, that was Chris and Mei Ling with Work TC, looking for Jasmine. Don't know what that's about. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So yeah, so if you don't know anything about the area, if you don't know anything about the neighborhood, if you don't know anything about what's going on, just call the realtor who sold or listed a property that just sold. Right. I had to do that with another listing I had, because I had a few questions about the area or whatever. And she was so nice on the phone. I told her I had a listing right across the street coming up, and she gave me all of the information I needed. And then she even offered to send my listing to her buyers from her listing. So then she ended up sending my listing to a bunch of potential buyers that she had from her listing. So nothing came from it, because I got my own buyer, but she was willing to do that for me just because I called her, so don't be afraid to reach out to other agents and say, hey, I saw you sold this house, da da da, I have this listing coming up, and just, find out what you need to know so that you can be more prepared to go in there with the information that you need. Because the main thing you want to do is show that you're the local expert. So if you don't look like the local expert when you go in there, they're going to go with the person who came off as the local expert. Okay. Market and show your home. So obviously, as we know, once you get it listed on the market, it's going to be showings. So you have to ask the sellers, what are the best days and times for showings? Are you guys comfortable with, people coming in here while you're here? Or would you like to leave so people can kind of see the house without you guys here? Do you mind stepping out of the house so that we can show the home if they're living there? If they're not living there, it's vacant. You don't have to worry about that. Makes your life a million times easier if it's vacant, right? But if it's not vacant, then you need to make sure you find out how you're going to do the showings with them, because they have to be prepared. Are we going to do 24 hours in advance for the appointments? Are we going to have a combination lockbox and electronic lockbox? I like to do electronic lockboxes so I can have all of the realtor information on my Supra. Okay, so you want to make sure you figure all of that out right there and then at the listing appointment. Okay, are you aware that we're going to have to show the property to multiple different people? They're going to be with their agent. Are you guys comfortable with that? You know, are you okay with leaving the property so that potential buyers can see the home without you right there? You know, and just ask them these questions. Are you okay with me doing open houses? I plan to do open houses. I want to do open houses, preferably, you know, at least 2, 3, 4 times a month. Are you comfortable with leaving the property so I can do an open house? You know, these are questions you want to get out there, and you have to tell them the importance of it. Open houses are very important because it's going to help us find qualified buyers who are ready to go, who are hot, who are motivated, right? Showings, it's very important that we accommodate to other realtors and their clients, because that is what's going to bring us offers. You have to tell them the importance of things, because a lot of the times people don't understand what we do. They don't understand what our job entails, right? So you have to tell them, I'm going to be answering all the calls and the questions. I'm going to be managing the appointments. You know, I'm going to be reviewing all of the offers. I'm going to be calling their mortgage lenders. I'm going to be calling their agents. I'm going to be negotiating for you. I'm going to be handling all of the paperwork for you. I'm going to be marketing it on Google, on Facebook, on Instagram, you know, to other agents in my brokerage. I also like to say that too, like, I'm going to market your home to every single realtor in my company. And we have 23 offices between here and New Jersey. So there, it will already be exposed before hitting the market to hundreds of realtors who have pre-qualified buyers. So if you are a seller and you hear that from somebody, aren't you going to think, oh, wow, yeah, they are going to be doing the most, right? Because not only am I going to market it once it's on the MLS, I'm going to market it before it's even on the MLS to everyone in my company, right? And maybe even some that are not in my company, you know? So make sure you tell them these things, because every little detail counts, especially when it comes to marketing a home. So you want to tell them it's going to be marketed to the agents of my company. It's going to be marketed to all of my pre-qualified buyers that I already have. You know, it's going to be marketed to, you know, all of the realtors that I'm good friends with in other companies. I'm going to market it on Instagram. I'm going to market it on, if you have Facebook, you know, I'm going to market it on TikTok. TikTok is big now. You know, so you just got to tell them, these are all the ways I'm going to market your property, you know? So make sure you explain to them how you plan to market and show the home, and make sure you ask the right questions so that they are prepared for showings and for open houses. So receive and negotiate offers. So obviously, you know, this is going to be an important part, is actually negotiating an offer for your clients. You always want to make sure that you have their interests first, because you're representing the seller, not the buyer. In this market currently, you know, it's obviously more of a buyer's market. So working with sellers has changed a bit because of market conditions and the economy. So sellers have had to be a little bit more forthcoming when it comes to what they're willing to give, what they're willing to negotiate, you know. I had to convince some sellers, you know, hey, I'm sorry, but you got to give it credit. You got to help them out. You got to give them the extension, you know, just different situations. Either way, in this market right now, buyers have the power because rates are high. Inflation is through the fucking roof. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm cursing. Inflation is through the roof, right? Interest rates are high. So buyers are being very particular. And they're asking for a lot. I will tell you that. So you have to tell your sellers the conditions of the market. Hey, you know, we're definitely dealing more with the buyer's market now. And you might have to be a little bit more forthcoming with what you're willing to give when it comes to seller credits, when it comes to, you know, later closing dates, you know, contingencies, stuff like that. They might have to be a little bit more negotiable now, because we are in a buyer's market, and in a buyer's market, who has more power? The buyer. You know, a year ago, it was the complete opposite. Sellers had all the negotiating power because there was no inventory. We had multiple offer situations. Houses were going pending within a day or two. You know, there was a frenzy over Florida housing the past couple of years. So it's been like one fish to 20 sharks, right? So it's been crazy. It's been crazy. But with the increase in rates and inflation hitting us in every area of our lives, basically it's become a buyer's market. So you have to tell sellers that, and you have to let them know, hey, you know, you're gonna have to be a little bit more negotiable here. You know, stop being a stubborn a-hole and work with these buyers if you want to sell your house, because some money is better than no money, right? So sometimes you might have to negotiate and do a little bit of gentle pressure, you know. I had to find that balance, you know. I'm a pretty aggressive person, you know, so I'm not afraid to say things and do things, but I've had to, you know, tone it down a bit as I grew older, because, you know, not everybody is that way. You know, I'm very direct, I'm very fiery. Sometimes I tone it down when it comes to other people who are not that way. So you always want to feel out your clients as well, see what they're kind of about, and cater to that, you know. So make sure you're explaining them everything correctly, and make sure that you're negotiating like a professional for them. You know, if they're not okay with giving a $9,000 credit to buy down the interest rate, they say, no, we're not going to give anything. We don't want to pay no money for a buyer to buy their interest rate. And be like, well, then you might lose this buyer. And then what? We'll have nothing again. We'll be back to zero. Do you want to be back to zero? This offer's pretty good, in my opinion. Why don't we offer them $6 grand instead of $9? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to do at least 5 or 6? You know, we don't want to lose this offer. And then they might say, okay, yeah, you're right, Jen. You know, maybe we do need to give a little bit. Otherwise, we're going to be back to zero. You know, let's do 5. We don't want to do any more than that. Okay, no problem. We'll counter at 5 grand. They accept, boom, done. We move forward, right? The thing with sellers is that sellers are all about their bottom line for the most part. And you never, ever, ever want to reveal that bottom line. That's number one. You're a horrible listing agent if you reveal your client's bottom line. So you never want to do that, right? Never want to do that. If a question comes at you from a buyer's agent, what's the lowest they're willing to take? Well, you know, we've gotten some pretty low offers. We're still waiting for a better offer. I can't reveal the exact number of the minimum they're willing to take, but, you know, submit your offer, and if you want to do a verbal offer, that's fine too. And we'll get back to you and let you know if we can make it work, you know. But you never actually want to reveal the exact number. Like, for example, if your property's listed at 325, but their bottom line is 300, you don't want to tell everybody, hey, you know, they're willing to go down to 300. So, you know, make your offer at least that or more. You know what I mean? That you just gave away all of your negotiating power. You just gave away all of the negotiating power you had for your clients. So you never want to reveal what their bottom line is. That is between you and your clients. Okay. And of course, you want to price the property at least 15 to 20K above what their bottom line is, unless you're getting up into the higher price points, you know. But if you're under 800,000-900,000, you don't want to, you know, overprice it too much. But at the same time, you don't want to price it too close to their bottom line either. Okay, because people like to lowball, especially in this market that we have right now. Everybody wants a deal. So you don't want to price it at the bottom line, because you're going to be getting offers below list price. That's just the way it is now. Okay. So if their bottom line is 300, then you're going to want to price that property at least 20 to 30K above the minimum of what they're willing to take, right? Because people are going to be submitting offers even lower than that, right? You have investors who are going to submit lowball cash offers. You have wholesale companies who are going to submit lowball cash offers, right? And then you have the traditional buyers, you know. So you definitely don't want to price it too close to the bottom line. That way, you can guarantee that you're going to at least get them the money that they want out of it. So if you have it listed at 325, you know, get an offer at 310, you know, maybe you can negotiate 312, 315, and boom, you're still 10, 15 grand above their bottom line, you know. So definitely always want to keep that in mind. And that's a good question to ask as well in the listing presentation. Is I like to say, you know, what's the minimum you're willing to take for this house? You know, do you have an idea? You know, have you thought about that yet? And see what they say, you know. So this is a beautiful property, it definitely would sell. What's the minimum you're willing to take for this house? And they say, oh, minimum we're willing to take is 300. Okay, cool. Well, I'm getting comps between 325 and 340. So why don't we list it at 330? And if we don't get hits within the first couple weeks, we'll reduce the price down. And if your seller is being so stubborn, because this happens a lot with listing, okay? Some of these sellers, they don't care what price you tell them. They already know the price they want to list at, and they're stuck on that number. You can't move them from that number. I've had so many agents in the same situation too. They're like, what do you do in that situation? Because a lot of these sellers, they want what they want, and that's it. They don't care about anything else. And it's their house. So it's not like you can tell them, no, you can't sell it for that, because they can sell it for whatever they want, technically, right? We're just the middleman here. But it is our duty to provide the facts. So we're not just talking, right? We're not just talking in their ear. We're providing the facts. Hey, listen, like, for example, the same house that's worth, 325, 330 that we just spoke of. Say, for example, the seller has ridiculous expectation and wants to list it at 365, right? You're going to come in with the CMA and you're going to be like, listen, this is a great house. I know you want 365 for it. No disrespect, but this is what the comps are showing me here. After doing a report, after doing some analysis on the recent activity in the area, I'm getting a range of 325 to 340. I think 365 will be pushing it a bit. And I think that it will sit on the market for a while, and we're going to lose valuable time and money doing that, because if it sits on the market, that is valuable time that we're losing. And those are more monthly payments that they're making on the house, right? So they're losing money, and we're losing time, right? When a house first hits the market is when you want the most exposure. So as a new listing, just listed, new listing, just like listed on the market is the best times to sell it to the most qualified buyers. Because once it sits on the market for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 2 months, then people are going to start thinking, what's wrong with this house? Why doesn't anybody want to buy this house? Why have they not sold it yet? And they don't know the facts. They don't know the numbers. They don't know the information like we do as realtors. So they're just assuming, oh, wow, this house has sat there for 30 days. This house has sat there for 45 days. Like, what's wrong with it? And then people start assuming things that are not correct. And then they assume, oh, there must be something wrong with the house. Otherwise, it would have sold by now, right? And those are the dangers of just listening to whatever the sellers say and listing it at what they want to list it at, which is what, 30, 40K above the actual value. And then you also have appraisal, right? Which you can also tell them, well, another issue we'll have here listing it way too high is appraisal. Because if we take a financed offer, which most likely anything over 250 is going to be a financed offer, right? So you're going to say, hey, most of these offers are going to be financed, conventional, FHA, VA, private money, whatever it is. We're going to have problems with appraisal. Because I already told you, this is the value here. So if we list at 365 and we get an offer for 350, 355, we're still going to be overvalued, and it's not going to appraise. And if the home doesn't appraise, then the buyer might not have the funds to cover the contract price, right? If they don't have an extra 10, 15, 20 grand just sitting in the bank on top of down payment and closing costs, then is it really going to work? No, it's not going to work, because the buyer's not going to have the money. They're going to have to cancel the contract if the seller is not willing to reduce the price by that much. So it's either the seller loses out or you cancel the contract. So either way, the seller gets screwed, right? So why would you want to overprice it? These are things you got to tell people, right? Because they don't understand the ins and outs of a real estate transaction. Well, they're probably not thinking about appraisal, right? They're probably not thinking about the fact that it's going to sit and people are not going to want to buy it because it's been sitting. These are things we know because we've seen it. We're the ones experiencing it every day. So you have to tell the sellers that same information. Like, oh, by the way, we can list it at that price, but please keep in mind that it might sit. You know, buyers might get a bad idea about the house. We're going to have issues with the appraisal, and we might lose buyers if it doesn't appraise. There's so many things that could go wrong. So why would you just list it at what they say when we're the ones who know the information? We're the ones who know the facts. So, you know, don't let them take you for a ride, because we're not sitting here to waste time and list a house on the market just for it to sit there for months. We're not getting paid. The sellers are not getting paid, and the house is not selling. Nobody is winning when the house is sitting there. Nobody. The only way we're going to win as a team is if we price it correctly. So make sure you tell them this, because a lot of sellers are very stubborn. Okay. And with the way the market was a year ago, some of them are still stuck in that timeline where houses were selling for whatever, and people were paying for houses like over appraised value, whatever, 40, 50, 60K, ridiculous. So, you know, some of them might still be stuck in that time frame. So just explain to them what can happen if they decide they want to overprice it, and try to negotiate with them. If they don't budge, if they're stuck on that number that you know is not a good number, just say, all right, fine. You know what? We'll do it your way. But if in 2 weeks' time, we have not had any showings or any offers, we're going to reduce it to the price that I think is correct. And boom, there you go. You just met them in the middle, right? It's not my way. It's not their way. We met in the middle, which is what real estate is all about. Negotiating to find middle ground between two parties. So if they are just so stuck on that incorrect number that you know it's not going to sell at, you don't want to lose the listing. Nobody wants to lose the listing. We're all here to get business, to get clients. So just do it the way they want to do it, but make sure you tell them, if this doesn't work out, we need to reduce it in 2 weeks' time. And then just follow up with them in 2 weeks' time. You give them a report. This is how many showings we've had. This is how many offers we've had. This is how many calls I've gotten, how many showing requests I've gotten, you know, and then you can use that as leverage to say, hey, I told you so. Some people got to learn the hard way. We all know that about humans. Most of them have to learn the hard way. All right, so receive, negotiate offers. Obviously, you want to know your difference in loans, FHA, VA, conventional, hard money, cash. So make sure you know the differences between financing. You will need to know that, right? Complete steps to closing. After close treat. I always suggest to get something for your clients after closing, even if it's just a small little card. I always like to get my clients something. If it's a buyer, I like to do like a nice gift. If it's a seller, I keep it simple just because they made a bunch of money, you know, they don't care about a stupid little gift. So I just like to do like a little congratulatory thing just to make it memorable. You know, with buyers, I like to do it up a little more. So steps to success. So the preparation, the marketing, the under contract, this is basically, you know, just the steps to preparing. We already kind of went through a lot of that. Preparation on getting ready to list, CMA, we already went through that. Showcasing your home, you know, it's always a good idea to tell your clients to depersonalize any space in their property as well, just so the buyers can get a better idea of themselves in the home. You know, like family pictures, you know, like names on the wall, stuff like that. If they allow you to, of course, you could always remove those things and put them away for pictures and for open houses, and then put them back up once you're done, you know, just to depersonalize the space a little better. So that's up to you guys if you want to take that extra step. Typically when I do open houses, I like to do that. I'll depersonalize the space and then I put everything back once I'm done. Okay, so showcasing your home staging. You know, if it's a vacant property, it might be a good idea to suggest to the seller to stage the home. It looks better for pictures and it might attract buyers a little bit better. So there are staging companies that you can hire for like a few $100s, really not that much. So if that's something they would consider, find a good staging company to help you out. Okay. The marketing, attracting buyers, professional photography. Always have a professional photographer, or actually several professional photographers in your network. It's always good to know real estate photographers and real estate photography companies. A good photo package can cost you anywhere from $250 to $500, $600, depending on what you're going to get. You know, and the larger properties, you might want to do drone footage. If you're doing a lot, you want to do drone footage. You know, definitely want to do the professional HD pictures of the home. Okay. So always make sure that you have somebody good on your side so that you can call them and say, hey, I have this listing coming up. I need pictures ASAP. When can you get them done? You know, and schedule the pictures and make sure to tell the seller, hey, can you guys have this house photo ready by this day and time? I have a professional photographer coming to do pictures. So you give them a heads up and you ask them to clear the property. Not clear it, but get it photo ready is what I like to say. They used to use that at my old job, Blue Martini. We had to come into work being photo ready every day. So use that term, okay, and tell them, hey guys, sorry, but you know, I need this house to be photo ready. I have a professional photographer coming in to do high quality photos of the home. So I need everything to be pristine, okay? So just give them the heads up and let them know, get the property ready, clean up your mess, put your stuff away, you know? All right. Then web presence, we got Realtor, Zillow, Homes.com, Google, Pinterest, yada, yada. You kind of just want to go through your marketing plan with them and where you plan to post it. I'm going to advertise it to all of my brokerage. I'm going to advertise it on the MLS. It's going to be advertised on Realtor, Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com. I'm going to put up some Google ads of the house, right? You know, some targeted social media campaigns is good too. Like Facebook and Instagram, you can do pretty cheap. I did like $40 one time, and that got me almost 1,000 views through a Facebook ad. You know, it's really not too expensive to do one of those ads. So you can tell them, you know, that you know how to do good ads and you plan to do that. Let's see here. I just said social media, you know, obviously in 2023, social media is going to be the best and most cost efficient ways to get your property in front of a bunch of eyeballs, right? So, you know, back in the day, realtors had to pay for, you know, park benches, bus signs, all that stuff. When the beauty of being a modern day agent is that we have social media and the internet. So why would you not be using that to your advantage? Why do you not know how to post an ad on social media? Why do you not know how to sell a property? You know, like you should be able to know how to post an ad for a home, at least on a few websites, so that you can have that as a strategy in your back pocket for when you're listing homes, okay? Another good one is you can say that you're going to send out mailers. Yeah, I plan to do some special mailers with the help of my title company. And we're going to send out mailers to all your neighbors. I'm going to do open houses. I'm going to promote it on social media. I'm going to send it to all the realtors in my company. I'm going to send it to realtors out of my company. I'm going to sell it, or I'm going to send it to my pre-approved buyers that I have personally, you know, and list out all of these different ways you're going to get exposure for their home. Because that is the main thing here is exposure. How are you going to get their property more exposure? You know, is it going to be open houses? Is it going to be mailers? Is it going to be social media? Is it going to be all of the above? So make sure you have some talking points when you go in there. Don't just say you're going to put it on the MLS. Yeah, of course, every realtor is going to do that. Okay, so print media, like I was just saying, you can do mailers and have them, you know, mailed out through the postal service. You can do door knocking and pass out mailers that way. You can do an open house and then, a few hours before the open house, pass out some mailers in the area so that everybody is aware that there's a house for sale and that there's an open house that day. Still one of the most powerful forms of marketing statistically by professionals is word of mouth. It's always going to be the number one way to promote. And it's just till the end of time. It's always going to be the best marketing, word of mouth, because we trust what somebody else says more than what we trust online, than what we trust on a TV, than what we trust that we hear on the radio. We're always going to trust what somebody we know says over all of those things, so make sure that you're getting the word of mouth out there, especially in the area. You can say, hey guys, I have this one for sale. If you know of anyone in the area, please let me know. Another big one I like to do is I like to go outside when my open house is empty and people just walking their dogs or walking by. I'll be like, hey, do you know anyone who needs a house? This one's for sale right now. And they always look at me like, oh, really? Oh, I didn't know. Oh, it's for sale. That's my voice that Sergio makes fun of all the time. But so just promote it. If you're bored, you have nothing to do, step outside, talk to the people walking by. I've done that a million times, and it's just to get the word of mouth out. That's my main purpose. I'm not expecting them to come to me and say, I want to buy it. That's what, once in a blue moon, maybe, that's not the purpose. The reason I go outside to talk to people and say, hey, do you know someone who wants this house? Because they might have parents that want to move. They might have a neighbor that's been talking about buying, that's renting right now. They might have a friend who loves their neighborhood, who wants to live there. So there's so many things. So just step outside. Hey, do you know anyone who wants to buy this place? It's for sale right now for blah, blah, blah. Here's one of my cards. Give me a call if you know someone. And I do that all the time. Such a simple, little effective thing, Word of mouth is still always going to be the number one way that that people, spread the word, spread the information. Okay. So yeah, marketing channels, open house signs, neighborhood flyers, property brochures, yard signs, postcards, direct mail, newspapers, magazine advertisements. Okay. All right. Under contract, yep, that's after you review the offers. And my promise to you, this is the last, I think this is the last slide, no, second to last slide. My promise to you, there are thousands of licensed agents in the area, but how many of them are dedicated professionals? How many of them can you trust to have your best interest at heart, which is what I said at the beginning. As your agent, I make these promises to you and so much more, okay? So what promises are you going in there that you are willing to make your clients, right? Because we can talk all day about this, about that, about numbers, about social media, about the market. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do for your clients? That needs to be the main thing when it comes to talking to sellers and doing these listing presentations. So this is just a list. I promise to tell you the truth about your property. I promise to disclose all my relationships in the transaction. I promise to respect your confidences. I promise to give you good, well-researched and knowledgeable advice. I promise to not put my commission ahead of what's best for you. That's a big one. I've seen the opposite a lot in this industry. I promise to tell you the truth about myself. Always be honest, always. The truth at the end of the day is all that stands. I promise that you will understand what you're signing, which means you're able to explain every single contract to them with confidence, right? It's one of the main parts of our job. Okay, I promise to follow through and follow up, which obviously, as we all know, through a gajillion trainings, follow up is everything in this industry. So make sure you're always following up and checking in with them. I like to do weekly updates with my sellers. So basically, once a week, I will discuss with my sellers. If it's 2 sellers, we'll have a group chat. If it's 1 seller, then we'll just do a regular, text message. I like to do voice messages a lot because I talk really fast and I think really fast, and sometimes I can't even keep up with myself. So I like to do voice notes because it helps me to get everything out. So I like to do like a little voice note update. Hey guys, this is just an update on the property. We had this many showings. We did get an offer. It was kind of low. I sent it to your email. And make sure you're sending every single offer to your clients, and making sure that you're able to explain and break down an offer as well. That's important because I like to send a breakdown of every offer through an email. So what I'll do is I'll attach the offer, right? And I'll say, hello, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. Here I have an offer for you on your property at blah, blah, blah. Please look at my points and notes for a breakdown of this offer. And I will break down what type of financing. I will break down, the inspection period, the escrow deposit, the closing date, any contingencies or credits that are involved, and and who the lender is, because I'm going to call them. I'm going to verify that pre-approval letter I got from them. Hey, did you send this? Is this your client? I'm calling to verify their pre-approval. Are they capable of buying this home? Are they qualified? Do you have their documents? What have you gotten from them so far? And are you confident you can close this? Okay, cool. So make sure you do your homework. I would say the more work for a listing agent is definitely going to be before you go under contract, right? The main work here is going to be, open houses, marketing, showings, and negotiations, which is, I would say, probably the most work for the listing agent. Because after you go under contract, most of the work is on the buyer's agent, honestly. Of course, you want to help them if they need help, check in with them, give the seller updates about what's going on with them, stuff like that, but for the most part, your work is going to be before you go under contract. And then the buyer's agent kind of takes over after that to do, inspections, deposit, a mortgage lender does the appraisal. Really, so, most of the work is going to be before you go under contract as a listing agent. All right. So genius is 1% inspiration and 99% taking really good notes. That is a quote by Thomas Edison. And that just goes back to my point of doing your due diligence, having your CMA reports, having your contracts printed out, having a very nice professional business card and branded folder that you bring with you, knowing the facts, the material facts about the house, about the area, about the sales, about the real estate activity, and making sure that, you're always going to put their best interests at heart. So that's basically my listing presentation, and some of the tips and tricks that I use. So it's already 1:07. So I kind of went over time. So I'm just going to wrap it up here. But I hope that you guys got some good info from this training. All right, let's see. What was the application called from Caitlin? What application are you referring to? I'm not too sure what you mean by that question. Hi, how do you get the double commission by listing it off market? Lauren. Okay. Basically, what I like to do is I like to save my clients money. So I will try to sell it for them before I put it on the market as like a off market. So basically what I'll do is I'll try to send it to investors I know, buyers that are already pre-approved, other agents who I know have clients, you know what I mean? And then if I get a buyer, I'll write up the offer for them. Of course, I'm going to represent both sides, and I try to negotiate some extra commission in there for me since they don't have to pay another agent. So basically I'm reducing the commission, but I'm also negotiating a higher commission for me because I cut out the other agent. So because I cut out the other agent, I can negotiate a higher commission for me because they were already willing to pay this much, right? So if they're already willing to pay 6% and half of that is mine, but I brought the buyer, we were going to pay somebody else 3% to bring that buyer. So if I did it, then I can negotiate that extra commission for me, which I want these people to use me forever as their realtor. So to make a good impression, I'm not going to say, give me 6%. I'm going to say, hey, you know, why don't you pay me 4%? And don't worry about that other 2%. You'll save 2% in commission. You know, and put it that way. And then they're gonna be like, okay. Yeah, look at her. She brought us a freaking buyer too and everything. She did the job of the other agent. Why not give her an extra percent, right? So you could always negotiate that. That's if you're good enough to bring the buyer as well, of course, you know. If you get an offer below the appraised amount, what should you do? Linda, okay. It's a pretty common situation for a house not to appraise at the contract price that you guys agreed upon. So I mean, there's several different things you could do. You could convince the seller to reduce the price to the appraised value if they're willing to do that and the difference is not humongous. Of course, you don't want them to do that if they're going to be, you know, taking a hit of 40, 50K, right? But if it's a $5,000 difference, $8,000 difference, you know, just try to work it out, you know, and if they don't want to reduce it to the appraised value because they think the appraised value is too low, you know, then see what the buyers are capable of. Okay, you don't want to reduce it down to 350, you know, well, are you willing to reduce it down to at least 355? Because the buyers, they don't have more than $5,000 extra for this purchase. You know, they're already putting down payment, they're already paying closing costs, and they don't have the capability to pay what you want for it out of pocket. And realistically here, this is the value. Okay, so sometimes you got to bring sellers back to reality, right? So try to convince him, because if you're already at appraisal in a transaction, you're probably already close to closing. And you don't want to lose that contract just because the seller didn't want to budge. Because some money is better than no money, right? And you're going to have to start all over with showings, negotiations, accepting an offer, inspections. You're going to have to start back to zero. And you don't want to do that. Because if you start at zero again, you basically just wasted all that time. And now you have to find another buyer. So why not just try to negotiate that the seller reduce the price either to the appraised value or close to it? You know, they might be losing out a little more money than they thought, but at the end of the day, this is the value of the house, you know, and we can't change that. So just know that it'll be worse for them to lose the deal a week, 2 weeks before closing. So just try to find a middle ground there, a number that'll work for both buyer and seller. And sometimes a middle ground can't be found. I lost a deal because, you know, the difference was too massive and there was no middle ground between the buyer and seller. The buyers didn't have the extra money. The sellers didn't want to go down. I lost the deal. It happens. The application for CMA. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's RPR. RPR. It is an external link in the MLS. It is a service that is included with our MLS membership. So I don't know about you guys in South Florida, but with the Orlando Regional Realtor Association, they give us RPR, which stands for Realtor Property Resource, which is a free website they give us with our association membership. Okay. This presentation was very informative. Thank you, Caitlin. I'm glad you got some stuff from it. You're welcome, Lauren. You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody have any other questions before I end this little Zoomy Zoom? Any tips for advertising open houses in areas where signage isn't allowed? Oh yeah, so that's a common situation. You know, there's a lot of HOAs that will restrict you from using your own signs and stuff like that, which sucks, but you know, can't change it. So sometimes you can go to the HOA and pay for one of their approved signs to put in front of the house. If not, then I know another agent, same situation. She lived in an HOA community where she had a listing, but they wouldn't allow her to put a for sale sign in the front of the house. So when she did an open house, she would put the for sale sign in front of the house and a big flag. And then once the open house was done, she would take down her post, her sign, her flag, and make sure that everything was gone once she was done doing the open house. But when she was doing the open house, she would put up the flag, the sign, and everything, and then as soon as she was done, she would take it, that way you don't get fined or you don't get in trouble, nothing like that. So you can do that, and advertise and do as many open houses as possible to kind of get the word around the neighborhood that the house is for sale. Also just going around with mailers, about the house would be a good idea too. If you can't put a for sale sign, just go door knocking with somebody, have all of the main information about the house, your contact information, and just go door knocking with somebody. Say, hey guys, we're trying to find a buyer for this great property that we just listed up the street. Do you know of anyone who's looking to buy a house in this area right now? Because we're really, really motivated to sell it. The seller's got to get rid of it as soon as possible. It's a great house. Can you please contact us if you know somebody? We're doing an open house this day too. You guys are more than welcome to come. And just start, what do they call that? Farming the area. So pass out some mailers, business cards, get the word around. Like I said, word of mouth, still powerful. So just go around the neighborhood and start spreading the word. Oh, you're welcome, Linda. You're welcome. What do you say and how frequently do you follow up if the seller doesn't sign on spot? Oh, that's a really good question. Wow. Okay. All right. So that happens sometimes. Like I said, they might be interviewing other realtors, right? So maybe they don't want to choose you or sign right away because they have other interviews, or maybe their dad knows this agent, or their sister worked with this agent, or your friend's cousin is a realtor, right? So you're going to at least give them a chance, right? So definitely, there's nothing you can do if they're interviewing multiple agents. The best thing you can do is be as professional as possible, provide the information, come in with a whole package to show you're the real deal, right? Well, thank you, Lisette. Appreciate that. So, you can't always guarantee that you're going to get every listing, right? It's not 100% guarantee that you're going to go in there and you're going to be the one that they choose. Like I said earlier, being a realtor is very competitive, right? There's a lot of realtors out here, and especially the veteran ones can be very competitive and stuck up, right? So, you just have to try to relate to them as much as possible and stand out to them in some sort of way. And then of course, follow-ups. Follow-ups is so important. Even after you leave the property, same day, just send a text. Hey guys, it was so nice to meet you today. I'm really glad that I finally got to see your home. I love your house. Like, I would love the opportunity to sell it. Please let me know when we can get things started. I have a photographer that is waiting, who would be so excited to take pictures of your home. And I have this awesome marketing strategy that I would love to implement once we get it on the market, and just make it sound like you're just so super excited that it's like your life. Of course it's not, you're bullshitting, right? Oh, excuse my language. Sorry. I keep cursing. I have a dirty mouth. I'm Puerto Rican. I can't help it. Okay. But anyways, just follow up and make it sound like it would be your life's mission to list their house, right? That you're just so excited to list their house. It's like everything to you. So just follow up, make a good first impression, and hope for the best. You can't really guarantee that it's going to be yours, but I promise you, if you do a good job and you bring the right materials and you follow up, you'll probably get the listing. All right. You're welcome, everybody. How would you encourage someone to move forward in selling when they are interested in doing so, but are in no rush since it's not a necessity? Ooh, wow. You guys got some good questions today. I'm impressed. Yeah, so Zuli, when it comes to that, we like to categorize clients in 3 different categories. It's going to be hot, warm, cold. Hot means they're ready to go. They either want to buy or sell right away. Warm, we're ready to buy or sell next month, in a couple months. We're fixing our credit right now. We're paying off some credit card debt. You know, we'll be ready in like 2 months. That's a warm lead. Cold. Yeah, we do want to buy, but we're not going to be ready till maybe like the end of the year. We have some stuff to pay off. You know, we got to get our credit right. Switching jobs, whatever their excuse is or things they got to do, that's going to be a cold lead, right? Because that's not till the end of the year. What am I going to do with that? I'm not going to waste time on that. You want to focus on the hot leads, the ones that are ready to go. They want to buy or sell ASAP, you know? And if you know they're a hot lead, but they're just still on the fence, like, I don't know, because they're scared. You know, a lot of people, it's just fear, you know, and you got to get past those things that they fear. You know, what are they scared of? Are they scared of working with someone they don't know? You know, are they scared of strangers coming in their house? Are they just not well educated on real estate in the process? So they don't know and they're nervous about it. You know, there's so many different situations, right? So one good way to encourage them would be to tell them about the market, you know, and say, hey, you know, I've been in this a little while. I will say that the market shifts all the time. Last year, we were in a seller's market and properties were selling like hotcakes. This year, we're dealing with a buyer's market. And, you know, it's things have changed and I can't guarantee that it's not going to change again. You know what I mean? So, of course, you know, if you want to sell it, I would suggest to sell it as soon as possible, because I can't guarantee that the market's going to be the same in a few months. You know, I can't guarantee that there's going to be this many buyers in a couple months. I can't guarantee that the market's not going to shift again. I can't guarantee that the interest rates aren't going to go up again. I can't guarantee that, you know, I'm going to be able to bring you qualified buyers if you decide to list in 4, 5, 6 months, because I have buyers who are ready now. You know, I have agents who have qualified buyers who are ready now. So if you want a chance at getting that exposure and those possible buyers, I suggest you got to list it sooner than later. You know, so that could be one way you encourage them. Market shifts, right? I mean, for anyone who has been doing it a little more than a few months here, you've probably seen the market shifts, right? There's been a lot. It's been crazy. So that's one thing you could use as a rebuttal. Well, you know, the market's pretty solid right now. We still have a lot of people coming to Florida. Summer's about to hit. It's the perfect time to list your house. Honestly, if I were to sell a house, I would list it right now too. It's a perfect time. You know, summer's hitting. Summer is the busiest time every year for real estate. Why would you want to miss out on that hot market? If you wait, we might miss out on the summer craze. You know, so these are some things you could tell them, right? And this is all about just knowing that information. Oh, by the way, summer is the busiest time for real estate, just to let you know. So if you get it on the market now, you'll be getting all of that exposure to people who are looking to buy in the summertime. It's a great time to list. Thank you very much. They're interested in purchasing a new construction to build, but need to sell their home first. Money is there, they just need the push. Okay. Well, you know, that's a very specific situation. You know, they want to do new construction to be built. That could take anywhere from 7 months to a year to do that, right? So that's going to be a little bit of a tricky one if they have to sell and then buy, you know, but with a to be built, I mean, you can close right away and get paid right away. You know, you don't have to wait till the house is built. You know what I mean? So when it comes to, you know, building from the ground up, you can still get paid right away for that and get them under contract for that house, you know. But the thing is, where are they going to live if they sell the other property? Do they need the money from the sale for the new house? That's also a big question you want to ask. Do you need the funds from that sale to purchase this new house? You know, if not, you know, then let's go shopping. right? How can it put together, or how can you put together, you're welcome. How can you put together a listing presentation like this one? Okay, so Ronald, like I said earlier, this was actually purchased on Etsy, ETSY. I did not create this listing presentation. This was a purchased listing presentation. Okay, so you can create one on your own, or you can purchase one from creatives on Etsy, Fiverr, and I don't know what other sites do that, but for me, I love Etsy. Etsy's amazing. So I bought this one off of Etsy. It already came prepared. I just had to give them my contact information and my pictures, boom. Okay, and it's not that much money either. So save yourself the time if you're busy and just buy one. All right, cool. Well, any other questions, guys? Because it's almost 1:30, almost 1:30. Anybody else? All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for attending this training on a listing presentation. If you have any questions or concerns about getting a listing or going on a listing presentation, you can reach out to me through WhatsApp, through our app, through text, whatever's easier for you. I'm here in downtown Orlando, or just reach out to your branch managers directly and have them help you if it's your first listing. And make sure you impress their pants off and get that listing. So I wish you all luck. I hope all of this helped you, and I hope that you all can get some solid listings and feel more confident going on a listing presentation. All right. So good luck to everybody. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Ciao, guys.